What I'm going to talk to you about today is about our implementation, and we have actually done that. We've completed it. We're sort of almost been live a year now with the full 5,000 users of Google Apps, and it's going to fit in with a lot of things you've heard about today. And what I'm going to talk about is the benefits that we've actually achieved in a business sense for the organisation. That's the most important thing. We are more flexible, we're more agile, and we're delivering better services to our customers. I genuinely believe that. I'll also talk about the savings and benefits we've had from an IT management perspective, and specifically some real numbers as well. And I will talk about some of the issues we faced, and one particular one, the theme you heard earlier, information security. But if I start, by the way, we didn't start off in this project by looking for Google. We didn't start off even looking at the cloud. We were looking to replace our email system at the time. And the time we were looking, it just so happened to be a time that I want to say, let's share it. Let's not implement the 301st copy of Exchange. If we're going to do that, let's at least share it with somebody. And at the time, the cloud was forming. It was starting to condense, maybe. And in fact, I can see in here, Martin Bellamy's here. The G-Cloud project was just starting. So we said, well, let's have a look at that. Let's see how we can use the cloud. And as we did that, what we realized that we were talking about really much more than just email. When we got into the project, what we actually realized was the products that we were looking at, not just Google, others, it was about the other facilities. It was about the collaboration. It's about what Google Apps and Google Docs actually gave us. And it's the things you've heard a bit about this morning. What we've seen is, as Peter talked about, if you haven't used it, try it. I think it'll be shown later. With Google Docs, you can be sitting, working on a document. You can have somebody else anywhere in the world. We normally use it just inside Warwickshire, but anywhere in the world, working with you on it, making the changes at the same time. And we do that in meetings. We do that on key documents. Let's get the absolute right thing out there. And that can be a bit gimmicky at times, but I promise you it works and it's easy. You'll see that. But actually the real power was something else that was actually talked about in Peter's videos, whereby the users have the control over this. So even if you're not doing it real time, a user creates a document, they press the big blue share button, they can decide who to share it with for information, to view, to get comments on, to do that co-authoring. And what it's led to is exactly that increased collaboration in the organisation that we talked about, and was talked about as one of the themes in Thomas's presentation. And what we've seen that benefit. I'll be honest with you, we said at the start, we thought it would only be with docs. So I said, those accountants, any accountants in the room? Good. I said, those accountants, they're so wedded to Excel, they won't give that up. But we've been amazed, actually, because, in fact, we're starting to see Google Sheets coming up as a better way of working. And why is that? Because, firstly, it's the one version of the truth. They're not working with different, no out-of-date spreadsheets. They can actually be looking at it at the same time. One hasn't had to lock it, and the other person can't see the changes that are being made. And the other feature is the Google Documents have this revision history where you can easily go back and see when changes were made and who made them. And at end of year budget time, that's useful to go, when did you say you were going to get that income? And when did you say you were going to get that? It's helpful there. And perhaps a proof of that, feedback in the local coffee shop, because I do spend time in there with the name. Somebody actually came up to me, totally unsolicited, the manager, and said, this Google Docs is brilliant. It's given us that control. We can share it with people when we want to. We decide. We don't have to get someone from IT to set up an area of the network they can share it in. And what we've been able to do is put in processes that we can share information to allow us to do our business better that we've been waiting for a system to come along and do. So a slight backhander and you haven't delivered the system, but that's because the priorities there were. They've got control. They've got that information. The other big benefit for the business was the one that Barkin was just talking about, and that's the flexibility and the mobility. And we have got this situation that we do have now as partners in public sector. We have to work in each other's offices all the while. And the fact that in order to access your mail and your Google Apps, all you need is internet access. We can be in other people's buildings and we can just easily access and do that collaboration and work from those other sites. And that is going to give us the benefits that's talked about on the property rationalisation that Barkin are looking for. We're seeing that coming through already. And again, something that came up, actually this was a more formal review of services. What we got back was somebody said, yep, by use of Google Docs, the ability to screen share those, the use of Google Hangouts, simple videos that come with it, the social care area of being able to hold meetings that normally people have had to travel for, the people coming from hospitals for this and accessing these meetings from hospitals, saving not only the time, but actually the benefits of travel, but also people are there. Otherwise, they don't always get there, and you've again got that better collaboration. People are taking part. The final big business benefit I'd like to talk about is the one I dismissed a little bit earlier. Email's just email, I think I said. But actually, with Google Email, we've actually seen an increase in the uptake of this. And it's quite interesting because you're in the public sector. Barking's figures are horrendous. Warwickshire's got to save £93 million over the next 4 years. I've got to lose 20%, £2 million out of my budget. And we're going to genuinely have 20% less staff in 2 or 3 years' time. So the number of PCs in the organisation for the first time in my time in Warwickshire have gone down over the last couple of years. The number of users have, that's why. But interestingly, since we've had Google, our number of email accounts are still going up. And that's because what we've seen is there's parts of the business that you maybe haven't given email or you haven't given the technology to because it was too expensive for a peripatetic worker or someone involved in catering or cleaning to have. Because it's so cheap and so easy to just give this access if they've got access elsewhere in the building they're in, we're seeing an increase in the use of the email. And we've also seen a similar thing on savings. There are parts of our staff who we wouldn't give the more expensive remote access approach to. We can give them that as well. So my PA wouldn't have had it. We wouldn't have paid for the remote access facilities for her. She can get in, do those things easily. So people are working longer and harder and all the rest of it. But there's a genuine benefit. People have the choice as to whether they want to do that. And we've seen those benefits. And all those benefits I've talked about for the last 5 minutes or so are real benefits. We've been live, as I say, whole thing over a year. Some of us early started using it 2 years ago. And they are real benefits that we've actually seen. And that's perhaps best demonstrated by a graph like this, whereby we do an annual customer satisfaction survey as the IT department. We use Socrative, most of you may have heard that, Society of IT Management Customer Satisfaction Survey approach, because we can then benchmark it. And the first time we did this, 6-7 months after we went live for everybody, we've seen an increase in our customer satisfaction scores in all 55 areas that are measured. Now, I've never had that in my time as head of IT. I hope as head of IT, we've done more than just put in Google Apps to get those wonderful results, because we obviously are pleased with them. But I would say the approach to cloud, the approach of Google has been a big factor to changing the user satisfaction about how they can work with their IT. And just to say, it wasn't because we were Barking, sorry, no pun intended, Barking case beforehand. We actually were in the top third of councils on that benchmarking, and we've seen it go even higher. They're the business benefits then. There are also IT service management benefits, and we've really seen some of those. The first one is, reduced management costs and upgrades. As part of our savings plans we've been going through the last few years, I was told to take out my out-of-hours support team. You can imagine they wouldn't have been happy if the service went down out of hours, but I was told to take that out. Great news with this is I don't worry about that now. The guys at Google look after it, and I honestly say it's been there. I'm going to worry about shifts, are people on cover? It's there, and it's been there for the whole time we've using it. And there's no need to look at those upgrades you're talking about in the other presentation. That's all done for us. Now, admittedly, it changes when Google wants to change it. But what I would say to you, for most of your other applications you use, do you really have that much control over when you have to implement the upgrades? It's done, it happens. And actually what it means is you've got constant improvement coming through. The reduced deployment time and cost was a big thing, because we all know our chief execs, when they've got these new ideas going, when do they want them implemented? Yesterday. The great thing about cloud, and we had this in the G-Cloud pilot project, is we could go to the suppliers and say, right, we'd like 10 copies of it to try tomorrow. And they were there. If we extended, and we are still increasing, our suppliers here, and we're sending in regular new orders, we say we'd like another 200. It's there. And that's a real benefit, that you haven't got the delays in there. You get the benefits of it sooner as well. You haven't got those delays in waiting for it to come through. And a true cloud service, the pay on usage is really important. It is revenue-based. We only pay that. It avoids a capital outlay that might get in the way of moving across to the new service. And the real benefit is it will reduce as we shrink. Now, I said to you, we're expecting to lose 20% of our staff over the next 4 years. If we do that, we will pay 20% less for the licenses. Now, all the rest of my IT estate, it doesn't seem to go down when the number of users go down. And it's a real benefit. We haven't seen that yet, because as I say, it's still increasing, but it is a real benefit of the model. And one thing I would say, it was touched a little bit there, it's a very simple licensing model. We did look at another brand of cloud email services, and it was useful. Benefit of the cloud, you can say, give me 10 copies and let's try it. So you can see how it really works, not just an evaluation theoretical. And what we found there was every time we went to try to do something, oh, you need a license to do that, a license to do, oh, you haven't got one of those licenses. Basically, the simple model, it is easy and it works, and you don't need to employ an external company to help you understand the licensing model. Another benefit we saw is we did it through G-Cloud, and we did see access to a wider range of partners. The Google space does have a lot of smaller SMEs involved in that, and we found one through a competitive process through G-Cloud, they're actually here, and I've got to say it's been excellent. They helped us implement it tremendously. They had extra facilities they could give us, cloud technology solutions they were, and it was done, I promise you, at a fraction of the costs that we got from some of the other who replied to the tender from the bigger, formerly Gold partners. So it is available through the G-Cloud service as well if you want it. But we also picked up, and we were lucky with this, I'm going to say this, on some of the wider benefits of taking Google in cloud. Because as Thomas talked about, the big change has been mobile. And we didn't plan this. We didn't think, oh, that's coming, let's do this. But it has helped us. Going to cloud has helped us deal with that consumerization approach. In that it does, being a natural internet product, it just works on all these new devices, the mobile devices you've all got in your pockets. And that's helped us manage the challenge of consumerization and indeed shadow IT. Because our staff, they don't need to have a Dropbox they're going to use behind the scenes, because they can do that with Google Drive. They don't have to say, I'm going to send it to my cloud email address to use on my phone. They can do that. Now, we've used it in a managed device approach. And by the way, Google does come with mobile device management built into it as well. So you have got controls over devices. They can't download the data unless you want them to. But we've seen those real benefits. And Barkin mentioned the PSN COCO compliance that lots of us have been through. This actually helped with it, because you've taken it out. It's out in the cloud. As long as you've got your controls, I'll come back to that from an ICO perspective in a minute, it's not actually impacting on your PSN because it's not connected to your network. So it actually can help with those sort of challenges too. Savings, we have seen real savings. We did this as a business case for the G-Cloud pilot. We put the savings up. We've actually delivered them and more. And so what we have, I promise you have seen, is over £100,000 a year savings on previous licenses that we had in place. And it's over that, not just £100,000. But what we also saw was £100,000 savings in infrastructure things, because one of the beauties of it is your email, you get 30 gig per user. How many of you give your users 30 gig on your on-premise? Yeah, right. You get 30 gig there. If you use the Google Docs, yes, you can add those unlimited. So what we've done is I've avoided the situation when we had it on-premise where my operations manager came to me every 3 months going, the number of emails are going up like this, we're running out of storage, we need to buy another 14 SANs. That's gone. So we've been able to save on that. We haven't had to upgrade the SAN in space-wise. We've been able to reutilize that, make the savings on there. We've also had savings like the antivirus stuff and the spam that we had coming in is picked up in the product. We had a pretty awful video conferencing thing that cost us tens of thousands of pounds a year. That's just replaced by Google Hangouts. So there were real savings you get in the infrastructure. And the staff savings, I don't have staff who were looking after that estate previously, on call, working on it, working on upgrades, and we reckon we've saved £60,000 in staff costs by redeploying those elsewhere. And just to say, as we heard, these are vital, these savings in the current climate. We all face those challenges. And this year, 1st of April, I lost £500,000 out of my budget, first of the 4 years of the 2 million, and I was able to do that because we got these savings from Google, was a big part towards it. So they are real savings. Challenges. The major challenge, we thought there'd be training challenges. Actually, that wasn't that bad, because actually it's easy. A lot of people use it in their own everyday life. And also, if you don't know how to do something in Google Mail, just go into Google and type, how do I do it? There's the whole world telling you in simple videos. So training actually went really well. The biggest challenge by far all the way through was, and quite rightly, information security, information security, information security. But as CSG and the ICO say, cloud isn't any different. What you've got to say is your data secure in transit? Is your data secure at rest? And ask those questions. And the big thing we had to do was be clear on our information. It was talked about again in the health one. We're not putting social care records. They're not designed to go in these products anyway. We're not putting social care records up there in the public cloud. That's not what they're there for. The stuff in the public cloud is what we old-fashioned name. It's out of date now, isn't it, from Monday? IL2. And you know, my mailbox, if you send me an email and ask me to reveal my emails, I've probably got to reveal 99% of them anyway. So the risk associated with that is really limited. Be clear on that. And the good news is government, compared with the rest of the business, we've got GCSX to help us do our secure communications anyway. So the thing is, it is achievable. Focus on your information responsibilities as data owner, as data processor. Because I genuinely believe the use of Google, as was said in one of the other presentations, can reduce the risk. You take out paper that people are using. That can be taken out, and we know that's a big area, things used to be found on trains. If the security is too complex, you know what happens. Your users send it to their personal email boxes. They use a Dropbox. And I work with Chris Chant, you may know the name, on the G-Cloud project. Every email I ever got from Chris came from mac.com. One thing to be aware of is your users are likely to be your weakest link. They absolutely are. Policies, training is important, absolutely in there. But whatever you do, there's where you'll find your weakest link. You've got to work very well with that. But actually, we need to help those users because they'll be doing it anyway with their personal ones, get it working properly, and it helps them with their digital life, not just their life in Warwickshire. So I generally believe the use of Google can make us more secure. And the final big slide, it started flashing. The question, security challenges. Who is better? When we were comparing this and having the discussion, who's got the best physical security on their data center? Well, Google. They've got armed guards. A little bit of advice, don't tell that to your boss when you're justifying it, because my boss, a solicitor, turned around and went, armed guard, but why have they got armed guards? You know, it's, what's the problem? Yeah. Technical security, absolutely. They certainly pay. They've got the latest tools. We're not bad, but they've got those as well. How many in the public sector audience here have got ISO 27001 accreditation? That's pretty good, actually, but it's still only free. Google have that. Availability, resilience, and recovery. Actually, we're pretty good at that, aren't we? We manage our IT estates well. We've got that pretty well covered, you know. They're probably still better, but we've got that. They don't win by far. Risk of cyber attack, we win one, okay? Mainly because those nasty people out there don't know who Warwickshire is. So we're all right with that one. We finally get a trophy and a quiz with a prize. There is a prize, some chocolate bars. Anyone recognise what the trophy is I'm awarding? No? I'll tell you what, you can have that just for saying that, because Luton did win that in 2009. No, it's the Skrill Premier Championship Trophy, which I'm hoping Luton will win in the next 2 weeks. I thought I'd just get it in there somewhere. Finally, defensive cyber attack, even if they are, then Google in a better position. So if I close, I hope what I've given you in the last 15 minutes is a rundown on the benefits that we've genuinely received, benefits that we've really seen for the business, that the staff have seen, that I think means we're agile, delivering better services to our customers. But there's actually also benefits to IT, and there are realisable savings that can be taken out of there, and we've generally done that. So all I would say to you, if you haven't taken a look already, take the time and have a look. Thank you.